I did not expect my own daughter to deliver the line that split my life in half, not on her wedding night. Not while the band was still playing its soft little melody. Not while 200 guests waited with their glasses raised. But she did. Ivy turned toward me, her white bouquet trembling in her hands, and said loud enough for the entire reception hall to hear, "I wish you weren't my mother." The music faltered. Someone dropped a fork. A whisper cut through the air like a blade. I felt every pair of eyes shift from her face to mine, waiting to see if the old woman in the simple blue dress would crumble. I did not. I straightened my back. 60-something years on this earth gives you a kind of spine no insult can bend. Charlotte, Ivy's new mother-in-law, froze with her wineglass halfway to her lips. Ivy's groom looked stunned. A nervous smile caught in his throat. "Ivy," I said, my voice steady enough to stop the room. "If that is what you truly want, then consider your wish granted." Her smile snapped like thin glass. A couple near the dance floor gasped. The bridesmaids stared as if the floor itself had tilted beneath us. Ivy opened her mouth again, but nothing came out. Not a word, not an apology, not even anger. For a moment, no one moved. The music had gone quiet. Even the lights seemed to hold still. I stepped away from the microphone, away from her perfect reception, and let the silence swallow the space between us. Now, before I tell you what happened next, I need to show you how we reached this moment, long before the champagne, the flowers, and the dress she thought would disguise everything she no longer wanted to claim. 6 months before the wedding, my days in Richmond blurred together in a rhythm only mothers of grown children understand. Mornings, I handled bookkeeping at a small antiques shop on East Main Street. Evenings, I worked the front desk at a historic inn in Shockoe Bottom, greeting tourists with a smile I saved for strangers more than family. Every paycheck, every extra shift, went into a separate envelope labeled Ivy's wedding. I watched the numbers climb deposits for the riverfront venue, the honeymoon package in the mountains, the first month's rent on the apartment Ivy and her fiancé had fallen in love with. The planner had said the total would run close to $200,000 over the course of months. I did not tell Ivy that figure. I simply signed where she needed my name. One afternoon, as I waited in Ivy's townhouse with a stack of contracts, I heard her voice float down the hallway. She was on speakerphone with a bridesmaid, laughing lightly. "Mom will cover it," Ivy said. "She always does." My hand tightened around the pen. A moment later, she appeared, all smiles and excitement. "Did you bring the paperwork?" she asked. I did. I handed it to her carefully. "Everything's ready to sign." She didn't notice the pause in my voice. "Perfect. The planner said the sooner we lock these in, the better." I nodded, adding my signature beside hers. She kissed my cheek distractedly and hurried back to her call. I gathered the envelopes, the receipts, the weight of it all, and walked to my car as the sun dipped behind the old brick roofs. At some point, sacrifices become so quiet, they go unseen even by the person you made them for. The first dinner at the groom's parents' home in Windsor Farms felt less like a welcome and more like an interview I had never applied for. Charlotte, the groom's mother, opened the door with a smile that never touched her eyes. "Maris," she said, giving me a brief glance. "So lovely you could make it. We do casual dinners here, nothing fancy." Her pearl necklace and crystal glasses told a different story. Ivy stepped in behind me, already glowing under Charlotte's approval. "Mom, wait until you see the dining room." "It's gorgeous." Charlotte waved a hand. "Oh, it is nothing. Just a simple update we did after the remodel, hardly worth mentioning." During dinner, she asked what I did for work. I began to answer, but she interrupted. "Bookkeeping and hospitality, right? That must keep you busy." She said it the way some people say, tired or out of place. Ivy shifted in her chair. Charlotte just means you're hardworking. Mom. Charlotte smiled. Of course, hard work builds character. The wedding planner, Lila, arrived halfway through dessert with a stack of mock-ups. I have the updated program designs, she said brightly. We adjusted the layout for symmetry. I reached for the papers, but Charlotte took them first, sliding them toward Ivy. We thought it best to streamline the presentation. My eyes found the section listing the hosts. The groom's parents were front and center. My own name was printed in a corner, nearly blending into the border. Ivy glanced at me, then looked away. It's cleaner this way, Mom. The planner said so. Lila hesitated. We can still revise if needed. Charlotte tapped the page. No. I think this is perfect. I folded my napkin slowly, feeling myself shrink in a room that wasn't mine. Some families welcome you in. Others simply make space small enough for you to disappear. The night of the rehearsal dinner, I walked into the James River Country Club expecting nerves, maybe laughter, maybe a little chaos. Instead, I found a seating chart that told the whole story before anyone opened their mouths. Maris Kessler, the hostess asked, scanning her list. You're right over here. She led me to a small round table near the back wall, close enough to hear the clatter of dishes, but far enough that I needed to squint to see the head table. Ivy sat beside Charlotte and the groom, glowing under the warm lights like she belonged to them more than she ever had to me. Ivy looked over, gave me a quick wave, then returned to Charlotte's whispered suggestions. During dinner, the microphone passed around for informal toasts. When it reached Ivy, she stood tall, chin lifted with practiced confidence. I just want to thank the people who made all of this possible. She began. Charlotte and Richard, your generosity has meant so much. You've made me feel like part of your family from the very beginning. The room applauded. My hands rested in my lap. She went on, praising the groom's parents, the planner, the bridesmaids. My name never crossed her lips. A bridesmaid leaned toward me, her voice soft enough to hide. I thought she'd thank you. I remember her saying she would. I studied Ivy from across the room. She looked relieved, as if skipping me had lifted a weight instead of adding one. When the dinner wound down, I approached Ivy gently. Sweetheart, I thought you were going to mention. She cut me off quickly. Charlotte thought it would be better to keep things simple. Long speeches can make guests restless. I opened my mouth, but Ivy was already turning toward Charlotte, who smiled tightly. I sat back at my little table, the applause from earlier still ringing faintly in the air. Some absences feel like mistakes. This one did not. The morning of the wedding began with the kind of chaos only a bridal suite can hold. Curling irons hissing, perfume clouding the air, bridesmaids rushing between mirrors. I slipped in quietly, carrying a small envelope with the note I had written for Ivy the night before. The makeup artist looked up as I entered. You must be Ivy's mom, she said, then lowered her voice. She just wants everything calm today. She mentioned being nervous, about unexpected moments. I set my purse down. Unexpected moments. She hesitated. She just really wants the day to feel polished. Across the room, Ivy caught my eye. Mom, can I talk to you for a second? She led me to a corner near the window, away from the chatter. Her robe hung open at the sleeve, and her cheeks were already flawless under the ring light. Mom, she said, taking a breath, I need you not to say anything at the reception. No speech, no little stories. Just enjoy the night quietly. Please. I held out the envelope. I wasn't planning a long speech. I just wrote something for you. It's only a few lines. She didn't take it. We don't have time for extra emotions today. Charlotte keeps telling me that weddings get messy when people go off script. The envelope felt heavier in my hand than the words inside it ever could. A groomsman passed behind us, adjusting his cufflinks. "Morning, Maris," he said with a grin. "Charlotte said you're the sentimental type. She's on high alert." Ivy winced. He didn't mean it that way. I slipped the envelope back into my purse. "It is fine," I said. Even though it was not, her stylist called her back to the chair. Ivy hurried away, surrounded by bridesmaids and praise. I stayed where I was. The noise swelling around me. A mother shrinking in the one room where she had hoped to feel needed. By the time the reception reached its peak, the room hummed with soft music and the clinking of glasses. I stayed near my table, watching Ivy float from guest to guest, her gown trailing behind her, like she had finally become the woman she always wanted to be, someone untouched by the life she came from. The master of ceremonies stepped up to the microphone. "And now," he announced cheerfully, "we'll hear a few words from the mother of the bride, Maris Kessler." My breath caught. Ivy's head snapped toward me. She moved too fast for someone in satin heels and reached the microphone before I could take a full step forward. "Actually," she said with a quick laugh to the guests, "we do not need a speech from her tonight." The groom blinked. "Ivy." "It is fine," she insisted. "We want to keep things short and elegant." I stopped a few feet from them, hands clasped. "Ivy," I said quietly, "I just wanted to say a few words. Nothing long." Her shoulders tightened. Something sharp flashed across her face. "Mom, you always make everything about yourself." "I am not," I said. Her voice rose before she could stop it. "I wish you weren't my mother." The words hit harder than any slap. A fork clattered to the floor. Someone gasped. Even the band stumbled to a halt, the notes dying mid-chord. I felt the world narrow into a single line between us mother and daughter, history and performance. I straightened my back. "If that is what you truly want," I said, my voice steady enough to still the room, "then consider your wish granted." Her smile broke apart. Piece by piece, I turned and walked away as whispers rushed in behind me, filling the silence she had created. Near the hallway, a bridesmaid caught up to me, breathless. "Maris, I am so sorry," she whispered. We all heard her. "She should never have, I know," I said. I kept moving, leaving the applause, the lights, and the child who no longer wanted me behind. I closed the ballroom doors behind me and stepped into a quiet upstairs lounge, a room meant for bridesmaids to fix mascara or breathe between photographs. The lights were low, the music below muffled. It felt like the only place in the building that still belonged to me. I set my purse on the sofa and pulled out the folder I had been carrying for weeks. Contracts, confirmations, printed emails, everything that had held Ivy's wedding together. My hands shook, not from anger, but from a strange, cold steadiness I had never felt before. I opened the venue contract first. The balance was scheduled to run through my account. Then the honeymoon itinerary, 5 nights. All prepaid, except for the final confirmation due before 10 o'clock that night. And the apartment lease for Ivy and her new husband, approved only because I had agreed to be the guarantor. Every page carried my name. I unlocked my phone and scrolled through messages from Ivy Mom. "Can you sign this, Mom? Can you transfer the deposit, Mom?" They said we just need one more signature. She had leaned on me so completely I had become part of the structure she stood on. And moments earlier, she had torn me out of the picture entirely. A notification blinked across the screen. Final co-signer authorization required by 10 o'clock. My thumb hovered over the button. I thought about the look on Ivy's face when she said she wished I were not her mother. The way she had spoken it, as if it were a truth she had been rehearsing. I set the phone down. Then I opened my email and typed a single sentence to the travel coordinator, the venue manager, and the apartment office. I am withdrawing as guarantor effective immediately. I hit send. The quiet room seemed to expand around me, as if the air finally had space to settle. I gathered the papers, closed the folder, and walked out slowly, leaving the weight of those signatures behind. By the next morning, the consequences were already waiting for Ivy before she even opened her eyes. I was packing my small overnight bag when my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Ivy, her voice pitched high and frantic. "Mom, the resort says the booking is incomplete. They are saying something about missing authorization. Call me back." Now, 10 minutes later, another one. "Why did you not sign it? We cannot check in without the final confirmation. They are holding our room. This is unbelievable." I sat on the edge of the bed and listened as the third message came in a different tone this time. The groom's voice in the background. "Ivy," he said. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. There was no misunderstanding. She snapped back. "She is doing this on purpose." A fourth call buzzed through. I let it ring. Around noon, a message arrived from the apartment manager, forwarded from Ivy. "The application has been denied due to removal of guarantor." Another voicemail followed, this one shaking with anger. "Why would you do this? You know we cannot get the place without you. The lease starts in 3 days. Charlotte is furious. She keeps asking why you would sabotage me." Ivy did not mention the words she had said on stage. She did not mention telling me she wished I were not her mother. Instead, she acted as if this unraveling had arrived from thin air. More calls came. More blame. More fear tightening her voice. Her groom sounded bewildered each time he appeared in the background. "Ivy, I did not realize your mom was covering so much." "Did you tell me this?" "No," she snapped. "Because she always does. She always fixes things." But not this time. And that was the moment the image she had built, so polished, so elevated, finally began to crack. Ivy asked to meet me at a quiet overlook by the James River, the same spot where I used to take her for picnics when she was small. Now she stood there wrapped in a designer coat, eyes swollen from crying, phone clutched like a lifeline. "Mom, why would you do this to me?" she demanded the moment I approached. "The resort, the apartment, everything is falling apart. Charlotte says people are talking. Do you understand how humiliating this is?" I kept my voice steady. I withdrew as guarantor. "That is all. That is not all." She snapped. "You ruined the first week of my marriage." Her husband shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Ivy, maybe let her speak." She turned on him. "Do not take her side. You have no idea what she is capable of." I looked at him gently. "I think he knows exactly as much as you told him." He lowered his eyes. Ivy exhaled sharply, hands shaking. "Fine. Say whatever you think you need to say." I opened my folder. "I covered your rent for 2 years. I paid for your medical bills when you were between jobs. I gave the deposits for this wedding. For the venue, for the dress, for the apartment. I signed every document asked of me. I did all of it quietly." Her voice cracked. "I never asked you to." "You did," I said softly, with every text that said, "Mom, can you help?" With every time you leaned on me but hid me from everyone else. Ivy looked away, tears burning her cheeks. "I was ashamed," she whispered. "They all have perfect families, Bessis. I did not want them to think I came from less." I closed the folder gently. "You are not required to choose me, but I am done carrying a life that pretends I do not exist." She swallowed hard. "So what now?" "Now," I said, stepping back. "You stand on your own feet." 3 weeks passed before I saw Ivy again. I had not called. And she had not apologized, not for the wedding, not for the river, not for the messages that blamed me for the cracks in her new life. I thought the distance might settle the ground between us. Instead, it exposed everything. I walked into her office building in downtown Richmond with a small cardboard box of wedding leftovers that had been delivered to my house by mistake. I planned to drop it off quietly and leave. But as I stepped into the open lobby, raised voices drifted from a nearby conference area. "Do you understand what she did?" Ivy was saying. "My own mother sabotaged everything. The honeymoon, the apartment, the payments, all of it. She is why things are a mess." Someone cleared their throat. "Ivy." A calm voice said, "Your mother is right behind you." She spun around. Her co-workers stared. Her director from Human Resources stood beside her, arms crossed. "Ms. Kessler," the director said, addressing me with unexpected warmth. "Your daughter has informed us of your involvement. Before we proceed, I need clarification." She opened Ivy's file on the tablet. "You are listed as emergency contact, relocation guarantor, and cosigner. With your daughter's comments today, would you like to remain in those roles?" Ivy's face drained. "No. Mom, just wait." I set the box on the table. "No waiting," I said. "Remove my name from everything." The director nodded. A few taps on the screen. "Done." Ivy's manager stepped closer. "Ivy, relying on unstable family arrangements violates policy. Effective immediately. We're adjusting your position until documentation is corrected." Adjusting was the polite word for demotion. Ivy's voice cracked. "Mom, please." I did not mean I pushed the small box toward her. These were sent to me. Leftover favors, ribbons, bits of the night you wanted without me. Tears gathered in her eyes. "I am sorry, for your sake," I said gently. "I hope you mean it, but I'm not here to save you anymore. Build your life without burning the hands that carried you." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Take care of yourself, Ivy." I walked out of the office feeling lighter than I had in years. If my story hit you somewhere deep, if you've ever had to reclaim your worth, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Your support helps me keep telling the stories that deserve to be heard.